everybody. Welcome to Everything Happens in a Conversation. And today, let's chat about obeying rules with my friend Georgia. Georgia, tell us a little bit what you do and where you're from for the people who are like, I know, but people listening don't, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm from just outside London in the UK. And what do I do? Well, I do super coach with you.
Yeah.
So we're Michael Neal's proteges. Would you use that word? That sounds really good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It does,
I don't
doesn't
know
it?
if Michael would agree, but we've decided we're his proteges.
I think we can say we're his proteges, yeah. And before this, what have I done? I came to this understanding, three and a half years ago, after a really traumatic period of life, But in that traumatic period, it was also a time of learning. So I did kinesiology, I did Reiki, I did hypnotherapy, I did all sorts of stuff and spent 52 years repairing me, or trying to. And thought everybody's wisdom was better than mine. Somebody else would know how to fix me, blah, blah, all the things that we do that are just but a waste of time and utter madness. And then Karen, who's of course one of our cohorts, one of Michael's proteges, handed me Michael's book, The Inside Out Revolution. And I read it and went, okay, I get this. And handed it on to other people. And kind of something stirred a bit, but actually, it was actually when I read a book by Michael Singer called The Untethered Soul, which, even though it isn't 3 Ps, is 3 Ps, that kind of something deeper sunk in. And then I went back to Michael's book and read something else. And it kind of just grew from there. So I have the best job in the world.
Mm-hmm. Just for the purpose of the people listening who don't know what the 3 Ps is, because that's our lingo.
Okay.
Can you share a little bit your version? I've shared mine. Let's share your version of what the
my version. It's all separate realities, isn't it?
Yeah.
So my version of the 3 principles, 3 Ps, 3 principles, is mind, consciousness, and personal thought. So we call it 3 principles because kind of that makes it easy for our simple kind of human minds to kind of see them as 3 separate things. What I see more and more is, of course, there isn't 3 principles. There's 1 principle. It's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from, whether you call it God, love, divine being, higher intelligence, whichever you wish to call it. It's the energy, the intelligence that runs behind life. And how when we get caught in our personal thought, it takes us away from that. And our personal thought is the most wonderful, hello doggy, the most wonderful, amazing tool, but we just believe it. And it's illusionary. So does that make sense?
Yep. I got distracted. I got distracted a little bit. I'm sorry.
Don't be silly. I've locked my dogs out.
Yeah. I can't lock her out. If I locked her out, she would be barking now because there's workers outside. Okay, so thank you for that. We do have some listeners. We have 3 listeners, believe it or not. We've got Rose, we've got Robert, and we've got Melanie, who are there with us, listening to us on.
Hi, all of you.
Hi, guys. So if you have any questions, we're just going to have a little chat about the 3 principles, obeying rules based on the 3 principles. And so let's dive in. Let's dive.
Mm.
It's so
I'm not in a bikini. Am I okay to dive?
okay. The It's so funny because I saw your post. You put the post, you know, inviting people to join in and come and listen in, and it created such a, like, people were like commenting on it. You had such
Was
traction
it?
on that. Yeah, you didn't see it?
No, I haven't
People were
seen
like,
it.
what do you mean obeying rules?
Oh, that okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's like those two words together are like so dirty. You know, it's kind of
Too
like
dirty.
oh, I'm just like, first of all, obeying, isn't that like an old word, obeying? And then there's rules, which is like, I don't like rules. And then
Well,
you
go on, carry on.
and then you put them together and it's kind of like, uh
I looked up in the dictionary,
okay.
and obey in English,
Yeah.
to carry out instructions or orders, comply with demands. Secondly, to behave or act in accordance with one's feelings and whims. So it's interesting because I read that and I went, okay, to follow my feelings or whims. But that's my feelings and whims. Rules are something external to me.
Yeah. Did you look at the definition of rules?
Oh, they had, well, of course, you've got more definition of rules than follow your government and follow this and follow that. And you kind of go, all right, that's enough. I'm done with rules.
Well, you know,
But of course, we've all followed rules recently.
yeah, that's exactly why I wanted us to chat about it, because I could see how, yeah, I could right away I could see how, you know, obeying was, you know, I had a lot of thinking around obeying. And then rules, I also had a lot of thinking around rules. And yet when I was looking at, you know, the pandemic that we're in right now, where we have to follow rules, like, you know, and that's why I put obey. It's like, it's more like of a follow rule, but I could see so many people out there who are just going with their personal thinking and saying, I'm not going to obey rules, you know,
Mhm.
and they're just doing what they're doing, which is, you know, they're doing what they're doing. However, sometimes we just have to, it's not, we don't have to understand, you know, it's like, it's kind of like, well, I think this is stupid, so I'm not going to do it. Or I think whatever, fill in the blank, and I'm going to do whatever I want to do anyways. But sometimes it's not about understanding or agreeing with whatever it is. There's stuff that's been put in place that is beyond our understanding. You know, like, we should just respect it, I guess. It's kind of like what's showing up for me in that sense. You know, there's a little bit of let go of your personal thinking about obeying rules,
Okay. Yeah.
you know, and then just follow it, even if you don't agree with it or you don't understand why it should be done the way they're asking or whatever, you know. That,
Well,
am
of
I
course,
making sense?
the whole thing with rules are, what are rules? I mean, the only rules that I know that are true is the rule of gravity, and some basic physics stuff, that they are, you can't change them. They are as they are. So the rule of gravity is it keeps me to the ground. I don't float off.
Mm.
I don't know whether, okay, maybe I should use the word law rather than rule, but kind of they're really interlinked for me. I know that there are certain things that are kind of out of, as you say, out of our remit of doing anything about. That is a rule of kind of how life works. But any other rule other than that is man-made.
Mm-hmm.
And man-made by thought. So what are rules? Rules are concepts.
Mm-hmm.
There's no truth to them beyond what we want to see in them. Because I had a conversation with a girlfriend recently, and we were talking about equivalent of rules, and she said to me, she said, oh wow, but if so-and-so is having an affair and sleeping with 7 people, that's against the rules. And I went, hold on, in some religions that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So your rule is that that's not acceptable, but their rule is that that's fine, and that's how their society works. So whose rule is right? Only where our thinking is, where we're looking at in that moment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So then what would you say about obeying them?
Well, of course, that is a society thing, as if I am here, I obey that rule. If I am here, I obey that rule. And by nature, of course, we have a whole structure around, in some countries, there's a rule you can't show the bottom of your feet because it is considered rude.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go with that? Where do you go with not obeying that?
Well, it's kind of like I'm really putting a lot of I've got a lot of thinking on obeying. Can you reread the description on obeying again? Just for the fun of it. I want to listen to it now.
To carry out instructions or orders, comply with demands, to behave or act in accordance with one's feelings and whims. So how do you obey if you're following a whim? Because a whim is a fancy, it's a thought of a moment.
Yeah, I think there's multiple descriptions to everything, but I had obey. I had a lot of thinking around obey because it was kind of like, like hearing the description makes me go, oh, I can do that. Like the obey in that sense, I can do, but the obey in the one that I have in my head, which is do what I said.
Yeah, do what I say, not what I do.
Yeah, do what I said. Don't ask any questions, and comply is basically the one that's there for me. And I can see how that one is made up. Like it's a meaning that I added to it.
You gave it a label.
Yeah.
As opposed to, if I see that obeying the sign, stay away from the edge of this cliff, it may crumble, then that's a good obey.
Yeah.
From the point of view, if the cliff's going to crumble, I may not be here to survive it. So that's a good connotation of obeying. as opposed to the bad connotation is obey me from a higher, a government or a this or a that, that you have thinking about, that of course then goes, actually this has a really negative connotation, but of course it's just a word. It just depends what hook we put in it in any moment.
Yeah. Well, you know what it makes me see? It makes me see how, there are these rules that we hear. It comes back to the understanding. There are these rules. There's a rule there that says don't get too close to the cliff, you're going to fall. And you're like, oh, yeah, I understand that one. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to obey it. But then there's this rule that says, put your mask when you're going to the grocery store, and you're like, that's stupid. I'm not going to wear a mask when it's about the thinking. It's about what you add to it.
Mm.
And if we could just trust that, sometimes rules are there for a reason that may be beyond what we understand. And you don't have to understand. Just obey the rule and, do I'm going to say your best. do what, do what feels right to you in the moment.
I was about to say, does it not come down to listening to your inner wisdom?
Yeah.
The fact that some rules, if I had lived, okay, and I'm not in America, but I'm sure at the moment, after what's happened in the news with the gentleman Floyd, who was killed by the police, that whole situation, if you think the rules not so long ago meant I couldn't have sat with him, he couldn't have sat with me. There is still the residue of the emotional connection to all of that that still runs through a society that hasn't seen that those rules were wrong.
Yeah.
And they're done.
Yeah, there's these rules that, and it's based on that description that you read, that definition. It's like sometimes rules are just ridiculous, or they're, and your wisdom's going to tell you, but we have to be able to differentiate what is the thinking that, and what is the wisdom.
But of course I don't know, we can look back and say, I would hope this is whatever. I would hope that my wisdom in sitting on a bus with someone, what I know now is that we are all the same, no matter what's on the outside.
Yeah.
It's so irrelevant. But what creates that thinking of rules is just polluted thought.
Yeah.
Is power, is whatever, but that all comes down to how you use your thinking.
Yeah.
But that same thinking creates fear, which means you put rules in place so that you don't have fear, or you think you don't have fear.
Yeah. it's like a false sense of security.
Mm.
But it's amazing to see how, you know, there were some people that were amidst, you know, that time, like where, you know, we weren't allowed to sit
Mm.
together. But back then there were these peoples that were listening to their wisdom and going, but
Mm.
that is totally ridiculous, you know? And they were just so, there was not much of them, you know, that dared, you know, sometimes we have to dare to listen to it, right? I think that's a great, that's a great place to look for us as life coaches, as what we're doing, you know, to
Mm.
show people how to listen to their wisdom and know the difference between the thinking that gets in the way of really love. And it makes me feel cool, good. I feel cool. I feel cool too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm cool.
I'm
I'm
cool.
so uncool, but anyway, yeah. I don't care.
But it makes me feel good that that's you know what's on offer with what we do, you know,
Mm.
to show people how to get connected with the love they have inside.
Oh, and once I had a lady earlier today, and I asked her, you know, do you see what you are inside? And she kind of went, occasionally. And I said, well, is it always there? She went, oh, yes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And which is why I say we have the best job in the world. I think it's the best job in the world. But yeah, I mean, we have, of course, in marriage vows, they used to have to, I can't remember the words, to love and obey.
Yeah.
And of course, the kids today go, I'm not having a obey. I'm not obeying him. Usually the girls, of course.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I don't think they say that, do they? No, they don't. Honestly, which just shows again, that's a set of rules that made women second class. Who made those rules? They were all made from thought through fear.
Yeah.
Through a need to control. And you and I know, what do we control? As far as I can see, and Michael will say, we may control in the moment, do I turn left and do I turn right?
Mm. Yeah. So what can we say? How can we, like people, these rules, there are rules that are there to make the wheel turn effectively, you know, like to make things, what do I want to say here?
And there are rules like don't touch the electric fence.
Yeah.
You get those. So you get basic, you know, if you stick your finger in a light socket, the rule is you're going to get a shock.
It's going to hurt.
But
Don't do
anything
that.
else, anything that is a personal rule
Mm.
is down to personal thinking. Or what we see in society. But that again is how we read it, how we see it. You know, keep off the grass is keep off the grass.
Yeah.
But if you go to Japan, their rules, their culture about, for example, you know, keeping face. If you've lost face, the rule is you go kill yourself. Or it used to be. Don't know these days.
Yeah, hopefully that's evolve. That's changing.
Mm.
Hmm.
So what's a rule? What's a dogma? What's a belief? What's an anything?
Yeah.
It's a human created. And obeying them, again, it depends whether you're looking at your physical safety, which we all get, but anything else is a construct, surely.
Well, it's all a construct. You know, I used to, I could see how I used to live in a little town next to the United States. I live in Canada, as you know. And I used to live like really, really close to the United States. Like we could like it's a 15-minute drive or something. Like it wasn't far. And I remember even younger thinking, wow. So I could just step over there and I'm in the US, and I could step here and I'm in Canada. You know, it was pretty amazing. And as I grew up and started to look at, how it's all constructed, it's really amazing what, agreement will do, like how powerful agreement is. I mean, somebody made up somewhere, you know, years ago that this would be the line between Canada and the US, and we're like years and years and years past, and we all agree to that. But what if it's moved? Who knows? Who knows if it's moved? Maybe I'm actually in the UK, Georgia, and I don't even know. Joking
Yeah, I think
aside.
you may have noticed, but okay. But yeah, no.
Yeah, it's really amazing what agreement does to what we construct.
But also obeying rules is about being quiet.
Yeah.
So you don't get the thing of, I obey a rule noisily. There's that quiet acceptance that of authority, or somebody else's wisdom is better, somebody else's choice for society or for us or whatever. And this is all involves thinking, but all of that is a case of handing, if you talk about personal power, but this comes from our sense of individuality rather than our sense of oneness. You're handing away your voice.
And when you sit in stillness and quiet, you can actually hear your voice.
So maybe rules just don't matter then.
Yeah, because if you can just quiet all the craziness that's going on here,
Mm.
you're just going to know it's not even going to be about obeying or not.
Mm.
And I think that's like, first of all, need to practice it. you know, you got to practice it. Wait a sec. Wait, what was that? Was that thinking? Was that thinking? But it does have, the more you look for it, the more you inquire into it, the more it has a feeling, right? It has like this, there's a feeling that tells you, oh no, this is wisdom, because wisdom is just, it just knows, right? It just like, there's a place where no, I know for me, this is what it is. And people may not agree, people may agree, you know, who cares?
Mm.
I saw today, I was having a conversation with somebody, and I saw, it was funny because lately I've had this, the more that I work with the three principles, the more I'm seeing different things, I'm seeing deeper, and I'm seeing different things. And for a long time I had it like wisdom good, thinking bad. Like I kind of like had it. That's kind
Yeah.
of like how I was like, no, well, I'm feeling bad now, so this is not wisdom. It was kind of like, okay, no. But I I'm seeing more and more what Sid Banks says, look for a feeling.
Mm.
And you know, and I'm seeing also that when I get a feeling of I get this yucky feeling inside of me, or this crazy feeling. I'm, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I got this. This is just cue for me to see that my thinking is off, is not going to serve me.
Mm.
Like it's just not in favor of whatever I want in my life. And I'm seeing it more and more, where it's just about, because the thinking is not wrong. I don't have it as wrong anymore. I used to go, oh, too much thinking, don't go there, but now I'm seeing it more and more that, okay, so when I'm feeling yucky, it's just that I'm having some thinking that is not going to serve me. So,
Mm.
and when my feeling is like, I'm calm, I'm at peace, I'm okay, I'm feeling, like there's a different feel to it. And I can see that that's when I'm sitting from a space that, oh yeah, the decisions I'm going to take from there, or whatever I'm going to act from there, is going to make me feel
Mm.
better, or not better, but what I mean is I won't go into regret mode, you know? So yeah. Have you had that experience?
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of layers that peel away that we see something new, different, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, listening the other day to you and Callum talk about love,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't remember the exact words. It was something that he said. I think he was talking about marriage, actually, which of course is full of so many rules,
Yes.
that, as I mentioned earlier, you start off with the, I will obey, and it's full of rules, expectations. Expectations create rules.
I see that.
Mm.
I can see that, definitely.
And of course, what are expectations? Are they helpful in anything ever?
Yeah.
No. You know, till death do us part. Well, when they made that rule up, people lived till they were 35. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, well, no, but you know, I mean, this is where, you know, our society, our age, or whatever has evolved, and yet we're stuck with something that's been the same and doesn't evolve or look as we've changed. And yet, you know, I mean, I remember my mother, I was one of very few divorced at school, and this whole thing of, you know, one of three in a whole school of girls, and that whole judgment thing of, you know, your parents are divorced, they've broken the rules.
Mm.
So it's so interesting, the layers that expectation and rules make.
Absolutely. She's lying on my arm, and my arm is like going
To sleep. So it's so interesting as you look what we put rules into.
Yeah.
You know, there's the rule that as a middle-aged woman you shouldn't have long hair.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of that unspoken whatever, because, you know, if you've got grey long hair, it's just like, really? No, really?
Yeah, so many rules. So many.
There are. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And if you follow through with somebody else's rules, they're somebody else's thoughts, somebody else's made up reality, and it's just what we're hearing out of it. What do I hear out of you shouldn't have long grey hair? If I want long grey hair, I think I'll have long grey hair.
Yeah. Yeah. But what's bringing, you know, this is bringing me to the following subject that we're going to be talking about. So like in next week, we're going to have this week of healing together. Mm-hmm. We're going to do this week of healing. And it's so funny because, you know, I resisted talking about healing. I didn't like, you know, in all the chats and all the subjects that we had, I didn't want to talk about healing because I was like, well, no, you know, if you need to heal, it's because you're hurt. And when you're hurt, it's because you created that you were hurt. And, you know, like I had this a whole bunch of thinking about it. Yeah. And then I just kind of saw, it was like, you know what? No, we do hurt. Yeah, exactly. We create stuff in our minds and we get hurt. And we need to heal from that. We need to let it go. So I'm really looking forward to what we're going to look at next week, because on Monday, we're going to chat with all of us. All of us are going to have this chat about healing and what we see about it. And we're going to explore that together. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to talk about healing with different things, like how we can help ourselves. And I'm looking forward to hearing, you know, now based on this understanding of the three principles and how our mind works. And like, I guess, like maybe you can, we're going to do a small, let's not like talk about healing now. We got to keep people coming.
Yeah, let's say we're talking about obeying rules.
Yeah.
You've got to obey the rule.
Yeah, obey the rules.
Obeying the rules.
But like, I'm guessing that, you know, like you were saying in the beginning of this conversation, you were saying that, you know, you did kinesiology.
Kinesiology, yeah.
Kinesiology, yeah. I'm French, and now I wanted to say it in English.
Sorry.
With the UK accent, so it was like really difficult. And then you did hypnotherapy and you did Reiki. So
yeah, and something called Psych K that you won't even know of, but yeah.
Okay.
All sorts of stuff.
So when you were doing it, when you first originally started studying that, was it in order to fix people or in order to
Yeah.
heal people? It was fixing, eh?
Well, it's one and the same thing. I mean, whether you see it as fixing or healing. I mean, the interesting thing is thinking about rules. I've done coaching with a number of the ladies that I trained with doing kinesiology. And the one thing that has become really clear is, I mean, we had an awesome teacher, but you're taught you do it this way. That's the right way. That's not the right way. And this is that, and that is that, and that is the other. And wheat is always bad for you. Sugar is always bad for you. This is bad for you. You've got to take oils in the evening before you go to bed. You can't take them in the morning because your system doesn't suit. All these rules that I got to a point with where I went, this isn't how, I don't do it anymore now. I don't do kinesiology anymore because this is where I see the mind is. But the people who are still doing it all would go, are still kind of in the, but this is my guideline, and wheat doesn't suit anybody, and this doesn't do this, and that doesn't do that. And I went, our knowledge was to free us to work innately with each body because each body is different. You're in someone else's thoughts that this is the only way. So it brings in that rigidity and takes out that freedom to work from that wisdom that is deeper within us.
Cool. Well then, so we're going to chat on Monday about it. And then we're going to chat on Friday. We're going to talk, you're going to be specifically talking about healing with energy. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, my honey. Thank you for this.
Thank you for being here and accepting my multiple offers of chatting.
I'm a talker. I'm a thinker and a talker.
Yeah. So there we go. It's a chat. So that was good. So I'm going to say thank you to the live stream people. I'm going to say bye.
Thank you very much.
Stream. And Georgia, I'm coming right back to you. Hold on just a second. So bye, live stream.
Bye, beautifuls.